E aí, galera! Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a football fan or, honestly, just someone who absolutely loves a massive cultural spectacle, then catching a match in Rio de Janeiro is probably sitting right there at the very top of your bucket list. But let's be real, navigating the logistics of it all, that can feel pretty intimidating, right? So today, we're going to dive straight into how a guided matchday tour completely strips away all that stress. You know, the transport, the tickets, the safety concerns. So you can just bypass the chaos and purely focus on the magic of the stadium. Let's get into it. Okay, so the single most frequently asked question that pops up from travelers is actually super straightforward. Is it really safe to go to the Maracanã? And you know what? That is a completely valid concern. I mean, Rio is this massive, bustling metropolis. And on match days, you've literally got tens of thousands of deeply passionate fans all converging on one specific neighborhood. For a tourist, just the friction of figuring out, say, which subway line to take, navigating those shoulder-to-shoulder crowds, dodging ticket scalpers, and then somehow trying to track down a rideshare after the final whistle, it can be genuinely overwhelming. It's exactly the kind of logistical nightmare that can easily turn a dream trip sour. Acknowledging this reality is really step one to understanding why a structured, guided approach isn't just some luxury add-on. It's basically your key to unlocking the perfect match day.
Right. So how do we actually eliminate all that friction? Well, the answer really boils down to one number: 15. The team behind the Brazilian football experience, they're called Follow Me, have over 15 years of operational expertise doing exactly this. Now think about what a decade and a half of experience actually means in a dynamic, ever-changing city like Rio. It means they know the traffic patterns like the back of their hand, they understand the stadium's security protocols inside and out, and they've built up these established, rock-solid, secure logistics. So you aren't just booking a ride, right? You're plugging directly into 15 years of refined professional problem solving. That number, it represents absolute peace of mind. From the second you decide to go to the minute you get dropped back at your room, you are in the hands of certified experts whose number one priority is your security.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the exact anatomy of the Brazilian football experience package. It's a brilliant, completely comprehensive setup. First up, you got the round-trip transfer. And honestly, this is huge. It means door-to-door service, totally eliminating the headache of public transit. Second, your match ticket. No dealing with sketchy fake tickets on the street or finding out the box office is sold out. Your entry is 100% guaranteed. Third, and I'd argue this is perhaps the most crucial part for international visitors, you get a bilingual local guide. Having someone right there who speaks your language doesn't just help you breeze through the gates, they actually help you understand those wild local chants and really immerse you in the fan culture. Put all these pieces together, and you get a complete, seamless experience. It's a perfectly structured package designed specifically to strip away the complex logistics of international sports tourism.
Just imagine for a second how effortless this entire day feels for a traveler. It all kicks off with a secure payment. You just book your spot using trusted global methods like Visa or MasterCard, or hey, if you're using the local Brazilian system, you can use Pix. Simple. Then the real magic starts with a safe hotel pickup. You don't have to wander around trying to find some random meeting point across town. You literally just wait comfortably in your hotel lobby. Your certified guide arrives, picks you up, and they handle all the navigation. And that flows seamlessly right into the match experience itself. You arrive at the stadium securely, totally bypass the confusion of the massive crowds outside because you're right alongside your guide, and step straight into the stands. It's just this incredibly linear, stress-free progression from tapping your phone screen to sitting in your stadium seat. Now, compare that to the typical unguided tourist experience. You're constantly checking maps on your phone, stressing out over your personal safety in these massive crowds, trying to figure out group logistics on the fly, or maybe even panicking when some sudden matchday rain hits. Frankly, it's exhausting. But by having a team preemptively handle every single one of those logistical hurdles, your mental bandwidth is completely freed up. You actually get to focus purely on the thrill of the match. You just lose yourself in the raw energy, watch those massive flags wave, and focus all your passion on cheering for legendary clubs like Flamengo or Fluminense. All right, let's talk about the actual football, because the lineup for April 2026 is absolutely electric. I mean, take April 12th, Fluminense taking on Flamengo, the famous Fla-Flu derby. Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale here, the Maracanã historically held nearly 200,000 fans for major derbies like this back in the day. It is, without a doubt, one of the fiercest, most vibrant, and visually spectacular rivalries anywhere on the planet. Then, just a few days later on April 15th, you get the unmatched, chaotic intensity of the Copa Libertadores. And right on the heels of that, another massive domestic clash on April 19th with Flamengo playing Bahia.
The density of high-stakes, world-class football happening in just this one single month is staggering. Basically, almost any time you visit Rio, you have a shot to witness a clash of titans in one of the world's most atmospheric venues.
Let's move on and see how this all builds, because you might be wondering how these specific matchups fit into the broader landscape of South American football. Well, you essentially have three distinct flavors of prestige here. First up is the Brasileiro Série A. This is the grueling, fiercely competitive national league, basically the absolute bread and butter of Brazilian soccer. Then, you've got the Copa do Brasil. That's the high-stakes national knockout tournament, where those legendary underdog upsets happen, and frankly, absolutely anything can happen. And finally, the absolute crown jewel, the Copa Libertadores. This is essentially the South American equivalent of the Champions League. Let me tell you, experiencing a Libertadores night at the Maracanã, with teams from across the entire continent battling it out under the lights, it is a whole different level of intensity. And the beautiful thing is, this tour provides access across all these different tiers of competition.
Now, there is one very important logistical quirk to keep in mind, and it's a super helpful insider tip. Brazilian football dates are highly fluid. Because of television broadcasting schedules, a match might suddenly get moved by 24 hours, either a day before or a day after the original listing. Now, if you were managing this trip totally on your own, a sudden schedule shift like that could completely derail your plans and make those hard-earned tickets absolutely useless. But remember that 15 years of experience we talked about earlier? The operations team is constantly actively monitoring these official federation updates. So if a date shifts, they just automatically adjust the logistics behind the scenes and notify you immediately. What would normally be a massive, trip-ruining stressor for a solo traveler is just completely neutralized. Okay, we've talked a whole lot about logistics, safety, and changing schedules, but let's take a step back and remember why we're actually doing this. The Maracanã, it isn't just a building made of concrete and steel. It is literally revered globally as the temple of football. It is a monument. This is a site of historic World Cup finals. It's the exact pitch where legends like Pelé and Zico absolutely cemented their legacies. When you walk up those concrete ramps and suddenly see that impossibly green pitch open up right before you, and you're just surrounded by the deafening roar of the most passionate fans in the world, you are stepping right into history. Ultimately, this tour is all about providing a safe, comfortable bridge so you can fully immerse yourself in that profound historic magic.
And that brings us to our final thought. We've seen exactly how the transport works, how the tickets are secured, and how having a bilingual guide ensures your absolute safety and enjoyment. The logistics are solved, the friction is gone, and the stage is set. So, looking ahead to 2026, the only real question left for you is, which match will you choose to experience the magic? Are you going to go for a fierce local derby, or maybe a high-stakes continental clash? The Temple of Football is waiting. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will definitely see you next time.